Hi.
Hi, everyone.
It's my turn.
Okay.
It's Danny Fleming.
And Marcus Collins from the MA Properties Online team with another. I've got market update, but it's really a
It's a
seller's
masterclass.
masterclass.
Yeah.
The title, we
Yeah.
should change that title, I think.
I think
shouldn't
we should.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For next month, we will definitely change that title.
So welcome. We are here to just fill you in on everything related to what's going on with the market at the moment, given COVID, and what we're experiencing there. What does selling in 2020 look like? We'll do a little bit on buying. What does buying in 2020 look like? But we do buyers seminars, buyers masterclasses.
Thank you.
We do those, and they go into a lot of detail. So if you've got any interest in that, then that's probably the place to go to for lots of information. So let's get going. Who are we? We're the MA Properties Online team. We have 7 agents in the team and 6 full-time support folks. And there's our dog in the middle. He's a bit terrified at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know where he is, but he's usually down here
with
somewhere.
the storm that came through, and he doesn't like lightning and thunder and all of that sort of stuff. So anyway, so we're pretty lucky that we've still got power. But anyway, so what's the agenda for this evening? We're going to cover smart decisions. We're going to tell you all about what's going on in the market right now. And then we'll get into, as I mentioned, what does selling in 2020 look like? And again, what does buying in 2020 look like? So I'm going to try and be quiet now.
No, you're not.
And Marcus
No, you're not.
is
There's no
going
even
to
thinking
take-
about that.
Oh, and we should always mention too that if you've got any questions while this is going, let us know via chat and we'll answer them as we go.
Perfect.
Okay, you.
I will
on.
go. All right, smart decisions. Right, characteristics of the local market, but realistically, in the environment we're in, what people really want to know is what's the impact of COVID on 2020? Perhaps a little historical, where are we right now? But more importantly, of course, what is the impact going to be on the 2021 housing market? As here we are in early October, I guess almost mid-October. Actually early October, 7th of October, coming towards the end of the fall market. Many people beginning to think about what does spring bring. So we'll get our crystal ball out as best we can for 2021, but more on that later. Okay, headline numbers. This is what we've seen over the last, 15 years, I guess, in the Arlington market.
How can it be 15 years?
It is 2005, right? Yep. We're now in 2020. 2005 was the peak before the crash. But as you can see here, this is the median prices in Arlington. As you can see, there really was no crash. Went from 503 to 487, which compared to other parts of Massachusetts, let alone the country, was nothing. And we've seen a relatively steady rise since that low in 2009 to the point that today, single family median price, this was January of this year, for the 2019, the last year we have full data for, 820,000, which is about a 63% rise since the prior peak. So ignore the crash, say it wasn't very much anyway. So it's about a 63% rise since that prior peak. So that's a substantial rise in prices. I should say that condo prices are in the 600s. I have more on the details of that in a moment, but 821 single family, 600 or so for condominiums. So what's causing that large rise in prices? So most of it can be explained by looking at what's happening with the demographics. So who are today's buyers ultimately? So this graph shows you the number of people that are in each age bracket. The data is from, I think, 2015. Hopefully we'll get some new data in 2021 as we just did the census this year. But the shape, you'll see the shape, it'll move up essentially, given that we're about 5 years later on. 2 bumps in this are really important. The higher bump in the graph, that's the baby boomers. That's the children born just after World War II. They are now getting to retirement age and therefore getting to downsizing age. The lower yellow band here is the millennials, the so-called first-time home buyers. Now, if you think about Arlington, it's in comparison to the towns around relatively affordable. The plots are relatively small. The houses are relatively small in comparison to many of the houses in Belmont or Winchester or Lexington. And so that makes it an ideal destination for the downsizers looking to move out of a larger home in, say, Winchester, move into a slightly smaller home, lower taxes, cheaper to buy, and so on, but still relatively close to their circle of friends. So they're moving, they're downsizing, but they're not going too far. So Arlington is a perfect destination for those downsizers. In terms of the first-time home buyers, renting today in Cambridge or Somerville or Boston itself, they want to move out to get into that first-time single family or the condominium market. And Arlington's ideally situated. Great commute into Boston, a great town centre, very lively, certainly will be in 2021, a little slower today, of course. But it's a great destination and a good school system. So it's beginning to tick all of the boxes for both the downsizers and the first-time home buyers. And that's really what's driving the market in Arlington. First-time home buyers moving out of Boston, downsizers moving, if you like, out of the more expensive towns into the lower priced towns, for example, like Arlington. So that's kind of what's driving the market. So that small lot, small homes puts it in that kind of perfect position. If we look at, what the impact of COVID has been this year, interesting to look at people moving out of Boston. Many people moving out of Boston, and perhaps out of rentals, realizing they don't need to be in central Boston anymore because the commute, whilst it would like to be close to Boston, they don't need to go in every day. And so we're seeing a large number of buyers moving out of the inner city, if you will, out into the suburbs. And Arlington, again, a great destination for that. Not just Arlington, but specifically those people moving out of central Boston out into Arlington. So, COVID. What we try to show in this schematic is really what the impact of COVID was. If you think about, seems like a long time ago, but January, February, early March.
Hey, we thought 15 years ago.
That's true, yeah. Now we're not going very far back in. That seems like a long time ago. We had open houses. We held open houses with lots and lots of people coming to those open houses. But that really stopped about mid-March. Began to kind of slow down in March, but by mid-March it had stopped. It was almost like a light went off. People, okay, no more open houses. So how did buyers then begin to look at homes? So the first thing they did is many people stopped doing private showings. But what they turned to instead was doing virtual showings, looking at 3D tour, websites, video, photographs. So what the buyers were doing was essentially vetting homes by looking at all of those, the marketing of that home, if you will. And it was only if that home ticked the boxes that they were willing to go and do that private showing. As we get into that May-June timeframe, there was a big discussion about, is it going to be early May, late May? When is the market going to shift? We moved out of that so-called, what in this case we've called the lockdown phase, into buyer confidence returns. And what happened then is that buyers began to be much more comfortable going into homes, but they still relied on those virtual showings, if you will, the key marketing components, 3D tour, video, and so on, to vet the homes before they went in to see them. So we're not, quite at the level where we were previously, but people began to become a little more confident about going back into private showings. Open houses began to increase. Danny has a lot more to say about the validity of those open houses, specifically
and
from
the issues
that it actually brings.
With
Absolutely.
open houses. So.
Lots to say about that a little bit later on. Open houses beginning to increase, and of course with that came the number of private showings. But still, even though we're seeing a number of listings no longer having all of those virtual assets, digital assets, if you will, buyers are still very much making that kind of pre-decision before they go look at a home based on what they see online, and then they're making those private showings. So that's kind of a schematic that tries to show, what actually has happened in terms of 2020.
The buyer profile in getting and seeing a home. That's effectively what it is.
So What does COVID look like in Massachusetts? So I've been kind of downloading the data from the Massachusetts website to give us a sense of this going back from mid-March actually. And you can see we had that peak and then we've dropped. We have begun to increase, I guess, as a little bit of fatigue kicked in as the fall kicked in. Fatigue, I think, more so than the fall perhaps. But still, that graph is relatively low in comparison to other parts of the country. And that does bring in some buyer confidence. And that's the key, really. Buyers thinking, yes, we're not out of the woods. There are still economic issues, still people being laid off, being furloughed. Not to the extent they were previously, but still that's happening. Still no sign of a stimulus package, and we'll see when, if and when that happens. But overall, buyers feeling confident about coming into the housing market, which is key. We were looking and tracking the number of listings as kind of a key metric to see when buyers came back into the market, and therefore when it made sense to bring listings on the market. So the graph you're seeing here, blue is the number of listings in 2019, broken down by month. Orange is the number of listings in 2020, broken down by the same months. I split March into the first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks because that's really where the light switch went on when people decided, no, I'm not willing to go out to go look at homes, let alone open houses. But as you can see, as we went through January, February, it was a mild winter, if you remember back that far. Therefore, we got a few more listings coming on in 2020. Then the second half of March, it dropped. April was very low again. And then as May kicked in, so the number of listings began to increase. And we were almost at parity in May and in June. And in fact, in July, we were slightly higher. We saw a lot more coming on in
August. Is amazing.
Yeah, lots of homes. Normally August, as you can see from this,
quiet.
Yeah, we would expect something like about 15 homes to come on the market, single family homes to come on the market in Arlington in the month of August. As it was, we were upwards of about 35. Interestingly, the number of single family homes coming on the market in September is dramatically less. What does that mean? Great to see it month by month, but what does it mean from a cumulative sense? And actually, as this shows, again, blue is 2019, orange is 2020. We have got less single family listings in 2020 than we did in 2019, about 10%, give or take. But that's a reduction in single family listings, remembering that many buyers are looking to kind of move into Arlington, to move out of Boston, Somerville and Cambridge. So that is a substantial drop. Turning our attention to condominiums for a moment, a mixed picture. Pretty clear when you look at single family what happened. Stopped in March, low in April, began to come back in May. Single family a little bit different, in fact.
Yeah, condos
a little bit different in that it was about the same until we got to May when we saw less. So it's a much different picture. But if I show you the cumulative, you can see more.
Well, actually, what's interesting, before you head to the cumulative, when you look at the graph, you can sort of see that in July, almost double what came on in 2019.
Yep.
In August, almost double, actually more than double what came on in 2019. And in September, it's not double, but there's significantly more that came on in September. And that's what we're seeing in the condo market at the moment in Arlington. We're seeing a lot of inventory compared to this same time last year.
So cumulative, let me show you that. Exactly as Danny said, we've got more cumulative listings of condominiums in 20 versus 19. An oversupply. Well, before we say yes, it's an oversupply, let's take a look at the number of condo sales actually. And the number of condo sales is higher this year than last year as well. The challenge I think we're facing in the condo market is that the number of listings is up, the number of sales is up, but the number of sales is not up high enough to accommodate that excess listing. So essentially the absorption rate in condominiums is increasing versus what it was last year, because we still have, even though more condominiums sold, we still have an excess of inventory. So it's not necessarily that the condo market is softening. What we're seeing, or is weak, perhaps a better way to put it, what we're seeing is that we've got too much inventory, even though we've seen a relatively strong condominium market in terms of the number of sales. So,
and when you look at it from the perspective of single families versus condos, a lot of the increased buyer demand that's out there are buyers that are coming from shared housing in, you know, your Boston, your Cambridge, your Somerville, and those sorts of things. And we are seeing a tendency for those folks not to really want to get into shared housing again in Arlington. I mean, if they're going to spend $700K on a condo, a lot of people are thinking it makes more sense to go out to Acton or Westford and spend $700K on a single family home, because of the fact that, you know, people aren't commuting at the moment. Most people are working from home. So, you know, if we, it would be awesome if we had more buyer demand for the condos, but that's just not what we're sort of seeing.
So what you just said is something I was talking to one of the buyers agents on the team today, and they were talking about condominium or shared, if you will, versus single family, and they said exactly that. I don't feel comfortable,
and this is their buyers.
Even today, their buyers they don't feel comfortable moving into a condominium with some shared space. They would much prefer to be in single family. So there's some of that as well, that, you know, that reluctance to move into somewhere with shared space. Although, you know, having said that, we have seen a large number of condominiums sell this year, so we don't want to overstate that, but it's certainly something that we are definitely seeing in the market today. In terms of kind of the bigger picture, that's kind of where we are in terms of listings and a little bit in sales in terms of the impact of COVID. What I've done in all these graphs, I've compared 19 to 20, 2019 to versus 2020. What's worth remembering, if I go back to what I was predicting in January before this really all kicked off, was that we were going to see more listings in 2020 than we did in 2019. Because as if you remember back, late 2018, 2019, much discussion about an economic correction, a downturn, a housing downturn, at least even if it wasn't reality, the perception of that. And that was beginning to mean that sellers were keen to get their home on the market so they don't hit, so if we're at the peak, I don't want to hit the downturn. Buyers were a little bit reluctant to come into the market because guess what? Maybe house price is going to be a little bit lower as 2020 progresses. Now, COVID kind of threw the spanner in that, definitely threw the spanner in that works. But we were predicting more home sales in 2020 versus 2019. So worth remembering that. And you can see a little bit of what I was talking about there by looking at the inventory level, which is a view of how many homes are available to buy essentially on the first of the month.
When you sort of see the last 3 years compared to the prior 4 years before that,
Exactly.
Yeah, and yet the sales that were occurring those times were more, so it was just more demand. Right,
and if you can see my cursor here, this late 2018, we definitely saw this. This was, if you a long time ago, but if you remember back in that 2018, there was thought that 2019 was going to have an economic correction. And so we saw more inventory come on in that full market of 2018 than we saw previously. As you can see, here's 2017, much higher. That did kick in to some extent in 2019. We did see more listings, slightly higher on aggregate, certainly in the early part, as well as that kind of the full market basically 2019. Given those 2 months, that second half of 19, we were predicting more inventory in 2020. As you can see, it hasn't really played out.
Well, when you look at the last month, the
right here we are here. Yes. This clearly that's a much higher inventory level than we've seen since 2012 basically. Yes. Yeah. Same time in 2012. So that is much higher. And
with the fact that the single families are reduced numbers, this is all condos.
Yep. A lot of that is condominiums. Yep. With demand and restricted supply, let me just put it that way, as you can see, the median single family home price has crept up, $821, and it's now, I would say, about $875, maybe $880 perhaps, in a year. So that's crept up considerably within that year.
Because we should explain, the blue bars are the single family median house price for each year, and the green bars are the single family median house price average for the months of this year. So where you've got the dotted red line, that's showing what the average is of the green bars.
Yeah, the median of 2020 so far. Similar picture when it comes to condominiums. Here it is here. I say we're just over, from recollection, 606 was the median price, if I remember correctly, in 2019. And now we're getting much closer to, we're probably at about 680, 690, almost touching that
With
700.
the current average.
Right, so that's definitely seen a substantial increase in the median price of condominiums too. What about 2020? We're almost at the end, but let's kind of get a sense of what we were predicting and what's actually played out. So we were predicting in January that we would see more sellers due to economic uncertainty. And actually, if you remember back to February again, we actually did. And we got to remember back.
I'd like to go back to February.
Yeah, right,
actually, no, I'd like to go back to January.
Yeah, January.
Actually, I'd like to go back to last summer. I really like summer. The fact that I want to go back to winter.
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
Yeah.
What we were saying is we would see more sellers due to that economic uncertainty. And say in early part of this year, even before COVID kicked in, we did actually see an economic downturn, a recession essentially. What's happened though is we've seen slightly less, similar numbers in terms of the number of sellers due to that COVID, economic and COVID uncertainty. We are seeing an increased number of buyers in the market, as we mentioned before, many of them coming out of the Boston, Cambridge, Somerville market, coming out to move into that single family. Bigger house, if I'm both working from home, we're currently both working side by side in the kitchen, maybe I want a slightly bigger home. So back in January, we were saying tending to a more balanced market, given that perhaps, static buyer.
Yeah, and the perception of the economic downturn.
Right, and more sellers in the market. Today, certainly when it comes to single family, less strong in the condominium market because of the excess supply, very much a seller's market. And therefore, as I just showed you, we've had positive price appreciation. So, 2020, great, that was easy, Marcus, because we're almost through it, right? How hard is that? So, okay, 2021, right? Here's the hard one, I think.
It would be nice to be through 2020.
We're almost there, actually. We're almost there. There's a lot going on in terms of being able to predict with any degree of certainty 2021. Because if you think about what's happening in the market, it's bewildering, really. Here we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and that looks like it's going to, at least vaccines and begin to abate, if that's the right way to put it, mid 2021. We're still probably got 6 months or so of where we are. Definitely a global recession, across the board, really, both Europe and both here in the United States. Here we've got the Black Lives Matters movement as well, bringing more uncertainty. We have the election. Actually, it's not in 60 days. It's
30 days, less than 30 days. In fact, there's the vice presidential debate tonight.
Right. Hopefully the last one.
Yeah.
Hopefully. We'll see. And guess what? Congress is still talking about economic relief packages. We'll see if they actually bring it. So there's a huge amount of uncertainty in the market today. Having said that, overall, the housing market in Arlington and many surrounding towns has fared very well. Now, what does this mean for 2021? In honesty, we can't give you a clear prediction yet. I think a couple of things need to play out. First of all, at what point will we get some clarity over when the pandemic will begin at least to abate? Looks to us today, mid 21, is that going to be a little bit earlier? It's going to be a little bit later. That's going to have an impact on the market. The bigger impact, and the one that is going to play out over the next 30 days, is the election. Because what all of us want, whichever way it goes, whatever your political bent, we just need some stability right now.
Certainty.
Yes, certainty in the market.
There's enough uncertainty in life at the moment without this as well. Yeah.
If out of the election we get some certainty, I think that will we'll get some economic stimulus. We'll get, a coherent strategy in terms of how are we going to buffer the economy through the next 6 months or so that as we pull out of this, So, we'll be in a position to take advantage. If we can clearly see that, in that kind of November, mid-November, end of November timeframe, I think the housing market will fare well in 2021. I think what the housing market does not want, and it's not just the housing market for that matter, it's the economy as a whole, is the uncertainty we've seen ourselves in because of the election and so on. So it really does hinge on what happens in November and not so much on the day, but what happens in the month or 6 weeks after that. So once we get a clearer picture of that and we begin to get a little more clarity in terms of when the pandemic, the vaccine is going to happen and we can begin to get back to normal, I think 2021 will be clearer. Some things are clear today, though, I think. If you look at remote working, for example, that is not a fad. That is real. And a study I just read a couple of days ago, upwards of 50% of companies say it's real, it's happening, it's going to continue. We are not going back to everybody going back into the office anytime soon. And I think many people are getting used to that. Companies are getting used to that. If I no longer have to have a really expensive office in downtown Boston, if I can have a smaller office, out here, out by 95, be it Hartwell Avenue in Lexington, around Wegmans in Burlington, those kind of areas around Home Depot and that in Waltham, much cheaper to have offices there. And guess what? They can be a lot smaller because my staff are going to be in 1-2 days a week. That's real. That's the companies to some extent are relying on homeowners to buy bigger homes so they can work from home, which is saving the company money in terms of I don't need to provide offices. We'll all get used to and get more used to, and technology will make it much easier and more effective to be working remotely. That's real. And so I think that impact on the housing market, that is a movement out of central Boston into the suburbs, is here. It's real. It's always been here to some extent, but it's going to be much stronger. So, as we look at 2021, there is some uncertainty. As we look to late 21 and 2022, if you think about the markets of an Arlington, Lexington or Winchester, those markets are going to be very buoyant because people want to be close to Boston, but guess what? I don't need to be in Boston because I'm going to be working from home most of the time. So I think 2021, early 20 or first half of 2021, uncertainty. I think after that, I think we find ourselves in a very good position where we are here, in the Arlington market, in the Lexington, Winchester market, where we are relatively close to what's out at 95. Many companies are going to move there, yet still close to Boston. So I'm confident. I just have this kind of, I'm not sure about the first half of 2021. So I kind of hedged my bets there. Hopefully that wasn't just a. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, but hopefully that. I'm trying to be as as honest and as accurate as I can be. But I think we'll know more as November begins to play out. So.
I feel it's going to be positive.
Yep, I think so too.
I think it's going to be positive. Yeah. It's not. It's the market is too fundamentally. The market is so strong that.
Right,
it's
that's key.
That.
Yeah, the fundamentals of an Arlington with the school system, with the commute, the vibrant town, that's not going anywhere. If anything, that's going to be a big draw for people moving forward.
So let's talk about what does selling look like in 2020. Now, I know we've only got a couple of months left to go of 2020, but 2020 so far has been a bit topsy-turvy. I wonder why that would be. Yes. But anyway, it's been quite topsy-turvy in our normal seasonality for the market hasn't really applied this year. So we are still bringing homes on the market. We've got 3 homes coming on the market tomorrow. The first week in October, and it's just really normally October and November we don't have any homes coming on the market because people are starting to wind down because of winter. So we really don't know what's the remainder of 2020 is going to look like, apart from the fact that it's different from the last 10 years. So that's fair to say. I know. Sure, we've got 3 coming on tomorrow, and we've got a number coming on in the next few weeks. So this is all different. So One of the things that Marcus and I and the team do is, Marcus mentioned before how we were talking to the team earlier and things. We are monitoring this on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis about what are we seeing out there so that we can be giving good advice to our buyers and our sellers. So anyway, let's talk about selling in 2020. Now, doesn't matter whether it's 2020 or 2021 or 2019 or 2022. You see, I'm going all over. There are 5 key fundamentals of things that are important to do that will give you the highest price that we can get for your home. One is smart decisions. That's talking about the sort of things that Marcus has just spent half an hour on, is what's going on with the market, exactly trying to pin down exactly what's going on. But then you've got the preparation of a home. You've got staging of a home. Those 2 components are really, really important from the perspective of when we get buyers coming into your home, that they, oh, wow, all we need to do is roll in our suitcase, unpack, and we can enjoy the home. That's key in this market, and it's key in any market. The next component is marketing, getting the home out there to as many people as possible. And what do I mean by excellence through teamwork? So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But we're going to go through each of these criteria, each of these keys, and delve in a little bit deeper. We've already done smart decisions. We're now heading on to the others. But first off, let's talk about what is a little different in 2020. So we haven't done any open houses since the 3rd week in March. Open house, and I think it's fair to say that you will see a completely wide divergence of opinions with agents out there. You do see some open houses with homes. There's other agents that not doing open houses. Now, we are in the frame of mind that not doing open houses is really important. When you think about it, one of the restrictions COVID has is that you really shouldn't have more than 1 buyer group in a home at any one point in time. Well, that defeats the purpose of an open house, because an open house is generally lots of people massing into the home at for a 2-hour time period and milling around the home all together. Well, that can't happen. Now, what is the impact of that? Let's say you start an open house time and 10 buyer groups turn up in the first 5 minutes. Well, you've got to let each of those buyer groups through into the home one at a time. So the first buyer group goes in. They take 20 minutes in the home. Okay, we've still got 9 buyer groups waiting outside, and in that 20 minutes, we might have had another 5 buyer groups turn up. So you're starting to get people lining up to try and get into the home. And then the second buyer group goes through, 15 minutes. Now we're getting to the back of the line, and those buyers are thinking there's no point even waiting to see this home. We may as well leave. And our buyers agents say this happens regularly when they turn up with their buyers to an open house, is you get a huge number of people just throwing up their hands, basically getting irate that people are taking a bit of time in the home, and then they leave in disgust. As a seller, you've lost those buyers. They're not coming back. The other thing is let's say that's assuming a large number of people turning up at one time. Let's say you have 4 buyer groups turning up at one point in time. Well, sure. If each buyer group takes 20 minutes, it's still going to be an hour and a half, that type of thing. But what actually ends up happening is, as each buyer group is in there, they know there are people waiting outside for them to finish so that they can come inside. So those buyers are hurrying through the home. Sure, they're seeing the home, but they're hurrying. They're not taking the time that they should take to feel the home, because a buyer is going to fall in love with the home when they walk in the door and they have a positive visceral feel. If they come in and they're hurrying, they're not experiencing the home as they would if they were doing a private showing. So the negatives of either way is quite severe. With having a lot of people turning up at once, you've got a lot of buyers walking away in disgust and not coming back. But even if you don't have a lot of buyers turn up at the one time, you've got the buyers that are there hurrying through and not feeling the home. So, and what it is the serious buyers who are out there all have buyer's agents. They all have buyer's agents. We bought a home on the market 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. We don't do open houses. We had 120 private showings in the 4 days, four and a half days that the home was on the market. 120 private showings. They are buyers with their buyer's agent making an appointment to see the home and spending the time that they need or want in the home to feel the home. So with all the potential issues that there are with open houses, at the moment we're not doing them unless our seller is quite specific that they do want them. We're obviously listening to our sellers, but we are trying to explain the negatives associated with open houses. We're not sure what we're going to do next year. We're going to wait and see what happens with that. But we have not had any issues with selling homes with competing offers and things like this, and not doing open houses since we started coming.
Sure.
We started bringing homes on the market the first week in May again, and each home is selling and selling quickly. The other thing we don't do is physical feature sheets. We started seeing mid-March this year, buyers not wanting to take a physical feature sheet. They don't want to touch anything that someone else could have touched or we touched. So, but we are still doing the feature sheets, but we're doing them online. They're on our website, they're attached to MLS, and there's a web page that they can go to, the buyers from MLS as well. The marketing is all virtual. Video, 3D tour, floor plans, websites, virtual open houses, all of those types of things are key. Because the buyer, as Marcus was describing, the buyer's profile has changed as to how they view a home. They check it out first online, and then if the home meets their needs based on what they saw online, then they're making a private showing. Massachusetts is a voluntary disclosure state. A seller doesn't have to disclose. In the old normal, in the past, if a buyer liked a home, they could get in and see it on the Friday, they could come back to the open house on the Saturday and the Sunday, they could get into it and see it on the Monday, they could bring their friends, they could bring contractors, they could bring, all different sorts of people to help them work out whether this home is a good home or not. They don't have as many opportunities or aren't choosing to take as many opportunities as that is now. So a seller's disclosure gives a buyer warm and fuzzies about the home. They read about the home, the seller's telling them about the home. That is, a bit of a bonus. The buyer's behaviour, as we mentioned, is to view the home virtually and then private showing. Oh, I should about 7 weeks ago, sometime in April, a home came on the market, and I had some buyers.
7 weeks, by the way.
Oh,
May,
no.
June, July, August, September, 5 months away now. See, I told you to think back. See?
Stop.
Really, Valley.
Time is just going way too fast. Anyway, a home came on the market in the distant past.
In the dim and distant past, earlier this year.
And it was perfect for some buyers that I was working with. Absolutely perfect, except they had no idea. The location was perfect. I should qualify. The location was perfect. They asked me to reach out to the buyers, to the seller's agent, to see if they had any sort of digital components, any video or any 3D tour, or any floor plans even, because there are about 14 photos, and that was it. That was all that was online.
They weren't very good photos either, from what I remember.
No, they were terrible photos. And Marcus will go into that a little bit
In a
later
minute,
too.
right, yes.
And anyway, so they asked me to reach out to the listing agent. Do you have anything digitally? No, the listing agent didn't provide any of that. So anyway, my buyer sort of said, well, okay, it's the perfect location. We're not even going to go and see it. No, we're just going to write it off. We're not going to go and risk ourselves going and having a look at a home, and we don't even know if it even meets any of our needs, let alone all of our needs. So they chose not to go and see it. I was talking to Marcus about this that day and decided that I could probably get in and do a Zoom call with them, with me in the home and them watching from their home. And I think I spent probably something like 45 minutes, an hour in the home, showing them the home, opening doors, but just showing them the home. And they ended up loving what they saw, so they wanted to make a private showing then, the next day or the day after or something, and they ended up buying the home. But they weren't even going to have a look at the home, with the fact that there was no digital assets whatsoever for the home. They were just going to write it off. They weren't even going to see it. This is where we're saying that this is what the majority of buyers are doing these days. They're looking online first, seeing what they can, and then making the decision to whether go and see the home. So having the digital assets is huge. And closings are all virtual. The registry of deeds, the attorneys, the mortgage companies, they've all worked it out. So that's all handled well. So with the remainder of 2020, we're finding that the preparation phase, contractors, early on, contractors weren't willing to go into homes. We were seeing that sellers didn't even want contractors in the home. We are now seeing that the contractors are well and truly willing to be in the home. We're still seeing a few sellers a little reluctant, but the majority are full blown fine with it. Our staging is back to normal. At one point in time, we were just taking soft furnishings in and leaving them on the doorstep and telling the seller how to do them, all of that. Now we're back to full staging. The only caveat that we have during our full staging is that we request that the sellers are not home the day that we're doing the staging and the photos and the video and the 3D tour. Showings, again, as we mentioned, there's no overlap of buyer groups happening, so that's a bit of a change. So let's get into the preparation phase. Now, is preparation important? Is staging important? Let me show you. Here's a home. It was an estate sale. We bought it on 3 or 4 weeks ago. This actually was the home that had the 120 private showings in the 4 days.
Didn't look quite like that though.
So this is the before. We wouldn't have gotten 120 private showings with the home in this case. So luckily the seller was someone that we had helped sell a couple of homes in her past. And so she asked us to help her get this one on the market and to sell it. And she knew that preparation and staging was really important. So here's the before. There's the painted after. Okay, so it looks better than the before. Still, it's not really very exciting. Remember that there's a lot of agents that won't stage a home or require that the seller pay for the staging. So here's some examples. Here's an example of the power of staging. That looks like a completely different room with staging furniture in it compared to what you see here. That's the power of staging, and the buyers respond to that. So here's another couple of examples. Here's another view of the living room. That looks much better, not as dark, but again, with staging in the home. So preparation and staging is hugely important. The dining room doesn't really look like a dining room. Got blackboard paint on.
It looks like someone was doing some homeschooling.
And here it is with paint. And here it is with staging. The whole feel of the home feels so much better. One of the bedrooms upstairs. Again, with paint, we actually switched out the flooring because the carpet was in really rough condition. And I think this was sheet vinyl we got put in. And that looks great. But look at this, with staging it looks 100% better. This home, as I said, digitally appealed to the buyers, and 120 private showings later, we had multiple offers and it sold for way over asking price because of the response that buyers made to getting in to see the home. So when we talk about preparation, look, there's no one answer fits all. Every house is different. It's really a case of us going in and recommending different things. We're often into homes and they're not even thinking about selling for 5 years. So we're just going in and giving advice. Absolutely. No problems at all. Happy to give advice. You don't need to be selling in 3 months' time. You know, you just don't. We'll just come in and give advice. But don't do major renovations. Anything that we talk about that gives a great return on investment are not high dollar activities. A lot of them are just not. But if you, say for instance, are planning on staying in the home for at least 2 years and the kitchen is pretty rough, put a new kitchen in. You know, if you've got the money, put a new kitchen in because you will get that money back. It's funny, Marcus and I, we...
you're going to tell the story about... you're going to blame me. You're going to blame me for this one day.
We were living down in the DC area. We weren't in real estate at the time, and we'd been living in a home for a few years, and we bought another home, and so we decided we were going to rent the home that we'd been living in. But gee, the kitchen's not really decent enough for someone to rent it, so we put in a new kitchen for the tenants. Mm-hmm. That was a silly idea.
It
so we know this stuff. We know this stuff absolutely because we've been there and done that, and know. If only we'd had an agent that could have given us the advice at the time.
You should have done it years before.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll give you advice on the highest return on investment tasks. We'll give you advice on what the priority order for those tasks are. Some things are far better to do than others. Let me just give you a clue. Paint is the highest return on investment thing that you can do, period. It's huge. But what we'll also do is give you advice on projects not worth doing. I was at a house just yesterday, and they wanted some advice on return on investment tasks. What should they do? They're thinking about selling next year, and they started talking about something, and I said, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You're not going to. You might spend a bit of money doing that, but the buyers are not going to spend. They're not going to pay more for the home with that done. They're just not. Key, right? So don't waste the money. Don't do it if it's not necessary. If it's
do it on the home you're going to move into.
Well, it's more what I try and sort of say to folks is that I'm not going to suggest something that'll cost $2,000 to do and it'll give you a $2,000 return. Mm-hmm. That's silly. That's just busy right? work. Yep. But I will suggest something that might cost $5,000 to do and it'll give you a $50,000 return. Right. That's worth doing. Yep. So anyway, so the preparation, it can range from the whole spectrum of we can give you the contractor's information, the resources, give you their information and you call them and organise it and everything like that, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where you're just an interested observer. We'll organise the contractors to come in, we'll organise the quotes, we'll organise when they can start, we'll come and check up on their work and, all of those things. So you're the ones that make the call as to which way it goes, what level of assistance you need. So some examples. Wallpaper. You've got to get rid of it. I'm really sorry, but you've got to get rid of it. When you look at wallpaper in a room and you look at a freshly painted room, that's what the buyers are looking for. Most buyers don't understand how much things cost to do, and they will inflate the cost way high. We had a home a few years ago where we'd gotten the seller to remove some of the wallpaper in the home that was multicolored, really multicolored, and he was getting a bit resistant to doing any more. There was just some subtle striped wallpaper in the living room and the dining room. I said, that's okay, you can leave that there. Anyway, the home didn't sell, and there was a buyer walked in the door with his wife, and they were looking at the wallpaper for a while. And I said, can I ask you a question? And I said, I told my sellers that they'd be okay leaving this wallpaper here. I didn't tell them that. I told them to take down all the garish ones. And I said, you seem to have a problem with the wallpaper. What's wrong? And the seller sort of and the buyer sort of said, well, just reminds me of my grandma's house. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And I said, look, it wouldn't cost much to take it down and paint. It's low cost. And he looked around and he said, yeah, this would probably cost me $20,000. And I said, no. Maximum $2,000. No, maximum. And he
Because it
looked
was
at
just the dining room and the
dining room and living room.
Right.
And he said, you're just trying to sell me the home. So what happened was the buyer inflated the cost of this work that had to be done because they didn't know, and they didn't know who to call and all of these sorts of things. And it was going to cost them a lot of money. So they downgraded the value of the home because of it.
Right.
So when you have a home that is move-in ready, where the buyers can just walk in the door, roll in the suitcase, unpack, and they're home without having to do anything, that's a huge amount of value to the buyer, and they are willing to pay more money for the home. Here's another one. Paint, again. Pink walls with blue ceilings and blue trim, just painting it a soft, subtle colour. That's actually the most fun I have in this.
I thought you always chose Ashwood.
Yeah, that one's
No?
Ashwood.
That's
yeah,
Ashwood, isn't
that's
it? Oh, there you
Ashwood.
go.
Yeah. The colours, choosing colours and everything. It's lots of fun. So if you need some help with that, call me because I have fun doing that.
Our family room right now has 5 swatches of paint.
So here's.
As we decide what colour to paint our family room. Actually, I'm not in that decision. That is.
And the funny thing is we're staying with the original.
That's right, we are actually.
Yes.
Having gone through them all, it's like this one looks better than the rest. So anyway, fun to do anyway.
Yeah. What a lot of folks don't realise is that kitchens, wood cabinetry, unfortunately, it's a bit, the buyers would much prefer white painted cabinetry. When you think about it, new construction, the builders have been, probably for the last 10 to 15 years, they've been putting in white cabinetry in their new construction homes. So the buyers, when they see white cabinetry, they get a feeling of newness about the home. So here's an example. Here's the original kitchen. This home had been on the market for 103 days, not sold, with another agent. I went in and I sort of said, if we paint the kitchen cabinets, you're going to get a great response from the buyers. So we did actually switch out a couple of appliances as well, because they had a mix of black and stainless steel appliances. So we wanted to get them all to stainless steel. So there really wasn't that much money spent, because painting the kitchen cabinets and a couple of appliances, we had competing offers on the home and sold it for way over the asking price. So there's the difference. With just paint and a couple of appliances, it took the home from being on the market unsold for 103 days to having competing offers. Here's another one where this, you'll see the older oak cabinetry. Here's the older oak cabinetry painted. We didn't do anything else. There was no, the appliances are still the same. The countertop was still the same. We just painted the kitchen cabinets. So it makes a huge difference. That one had competing offers on it as well. Here's another one. This was on College Ave in Arlington. It had older wood cabinets and yellow counters, still the same appliances, didn't do anything with the appliances, and just white cabinetry. We did actually switch out the floors because this sheet vinyl was in rough shape and it was torn in several places, so we got some new sheet vinyl put down. And funnily, the seller was with the painter when he was there, and I don't know who suggested it, but they ended up painting the counter, painting the laminate counter. Now, we do suggest that in bathrooms. I've never suggested it in a kitchen before, but it did look great, but I don't think it would have lasted very long in a high traffic
So you
kitchen.
would have left, you wouldn't have switched that out for perhaps some granite?
No, because it's, you get so much. This looks like a fresh kitchen. You don't need to spend the money on doing granite.
One of those projects where you spend two to make two.
Yeah.
For the countertop.
Yeah. No, this is we had competing offers on the home. We've left pink laminate countertops in kitchens and just painted the cabinets. Makes a huge difference. I mean, it doesn't matter because when you've got a bright colour counter with white cabinetry, it offsets it, and the buyers tend to not even notice the brighter counter. So here's an example of something that a lot of sellers don't realise, is that the older tiles that typically date a home, they paint up beautifully. Benjamin Moore sell a product that's called a bonding primer, and that goes on the tiles first and then just normal paint on top. And it might be hard to see with the photos, but these are the tiles that were there, just painted. Now, we did also take down the wallpaper and painted the wall above, and we left the tiles on the floor. But we did nothing. All we did with this home was paint, or this bathroom was just paint. But when you've got this photo here, the buyers would walk in and think, okay, I've got to renovate the bathroom before I move in.
Right.
I've got to renovate it completely.
Right.
It's got to cost me $30,000, $40,000. I've got to renovate it completely. When they see this bathroom, because it's fresh and it's not looking as dated as the bright color tiles and the wallpaper, they think, okay, yeah, we can move into this home, and maybe one day in a couple of years' time we'll think about renovating the bathroom. It takes the time urgency away and takes the cost impact away. Here's another one. And remember, I was saying that we do paint laminate counters and cabinets, but we don't do it in a kitchen. Here's, a bathroom cabinet that would have dated the home dramatically, and also your blue tiles. And here it is just with paint. Didn't do anything else, just paint. Competing offers. Here's another example. This was the bathroom. The laminate was in rough shape. The contractor stuck the laminate back into, the solid sort of thing. We painted the laminate counter. We painted the cabinetry. We painted the tiles. Competing offers. So it really makes a difference. This one is a funny one. This home had been on the market for about 6 months with another agent, and the sellers contacted me. I came in. They had, to be honest, they had beautiful cherry kitchen. And it pains me sometimes to suggest paint because I love wood just as much as other people do. But the home wasn't selling. It felt a bit dated. The buyers don't like wood cabinetry, unfortunately. And I suggested to the seller that we paint the kitchen cabinets. And the seller took a little bit of time to decide and did end up deciding to paint the kitchen cabinets. And it was funny, a couple of days after it was done, she contacted me and sort of said, I really loved how the kitchen cabinets turned out, so much so that I decided to get them to do the master bathroom as well. So I didn't ask her to do the master bathroom, but here was the master bathroom done because the impact of having painted the kitchen cabinets in the kitchen, with the kitchen cabinets, was so profound to her that she wanted to do the same thing in the bathroom. So it makes a difference. It's not just the inside that can sometimes have a huge impact with paint. This home had been a for sale by owner, then it was on the market for over a year with another agent, and then it was a for sale by owner again, and then they listed with us. I got them to take a couple of the trees down and see the trim around the garage doors and around the windows and everything there. It was sort of a plum, sort of mauve, plum purple type look with blue siding. It didn't look very good. So I got them to paint the trim, paint it white, and also paint the garage doors. This home that had been on the market for about 2 years trying to sell, we had competing offers on it. So paint, yeah.
Big difference.
Huge
Big
difference.
Inside, let's say inside and out as well.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we're not going to suggest things that are just busy work. We're going to suggest things that make an impact to the buyers.
Yep.
So landscaping can sometimes make a huge difference as well. This was a home where the trees had just grown and grown and grown. The home was quite dark on the inside because there's no light getting through.
Blocking the lights through the windows. You can see the windows are blocked there.
Yeah. And so we got the seller to take down some of the big ones at the front and plant some newer plants. We did do some fresh paint on the outside as well. But you've got new plants. Buyers love new construction. If they could buy new construction, fantastic. A lot of buyers can't afford new construction. But when they see newer plantings like this, it's a trigger point. They think, ooh, new construction. Ooh, let's go have a look. So it makes a huge difference. So let's get on to staging and the impact that has. Hopefully you saw some of that with the initial photos that we showed before. But here's what some of the experts say about this. So they say 83% of buyers' agents said a staged home helped buyers visualize the property as a future home. So that's important. 25% of buyers' agents said potential buyers increased their offer between 1 and 5% on a staged home. Now, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but if we're talking about $1 million home, I can do that one. Okay. If we're talking about $1 million home, if it's staged, that's an extra $10,000 just from staging.
Mm-hmm. At the lower number there. Right.
Sorry?
At the lower number there. Yep.
At the lower number, yeah. So it's 1% and 5%. So at the 1%, it's $10,000. But 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. That's a big number, and this is according to a professional home stagers organization. So staging makes a difference. Now, what I should clarify before we go any further, we are not asking you to spend money on staging your home. One of the things that we do, we invest our resources to help you get the highest price for your home. We do it all, and there is no additional cost to you, just no additional cost. And here's our team. This staging truck, would you like to tell the story about this today?
Oh, it was so sad. Unfortunately, our staging truck, the engine blew up, literally. So our staging truck was towed away today. We no longer have a staging truck, but there is another one on the way. Before I got rid of this one, I made sure that there was another one.
You didn't tell me you ordered, and it's a brand new truck.
It's a brand new one's on its way. It's not. You have to be patient. It's going to take a while to arrive. It's not arriving tomorrow, but
in the meantime, we found out U-Haul again.
U-Haul.
U-Haul. Yeah. So we have our own staging truck typically, and we have our own full-time staging coordinator and part-time stagers. To us, it's really important. We do a virtual, at the moment with COVID, we're doing virtual consultations with our staging coordinator. and we recommend depersonalizing, decluttering. Our staging coordinator gives you good advice on what needs to be done, what furniture should be moved, and whatever we can.
Comprehensive is a good word
Comprehensive,
for it as well.
yeah.
Because
She
I know
comes up
it's
with a
really,
checklist.
it's a real big checklist.
You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it, she provides a checklist of the things that she would recommend doing. And she's an interior designer. They know what the buyers want in a home. Now, the furniture and accessories is based on the particular need, because we're not asking you to clear out your furniture and put it in storage. No. If your home is vacant, we will come in and stage the entire home, every room, including bedrooms, everything like that. But if it's an occupied home, which most homes are, then we'll provide accent pieces, we'll provide supplementary pieces that you don't have. Or what we sometimes say is, some sellers say, I'm moving, I don't want half of my furniture. And we sort of say, well, get rid of it now. If it's easier to get rid of now because you've got time to get rid of it, then do that now, instead of trying to get rid of it in the 4 weeks you've got in between being at purchase and sale and closing. That's putting too much pressure on you. So get rid of it now, and what you don't have in your home, say for instance the dining room table, it's broken legs and things like this, and you're just going to toss it. We'll toss it, and we'll bring in a dining room table and chairs and that sort of thing. So we supplement whatever's needed. Bedrooms, we hit a lot of homes that have mismatching bedside tables. So we bring in matching bedside tables and matching lamps and those sorts of components. There's a whole lot of things, but it's based on the particular need of the home. So staging, it creates an emotional response. When we have a buyer who walks in the door and, oh, wow, I love this, we're going to get a higher price from them. And as I said, no cost to the seller. We invest our resources to sell your home for more money. It's really, really important. I have to say, I do a lot of market analyses, and it's shameful. It's shameful to see how homes that have empty rooms and no staging furniture, no preparation done to the home, it's shameful to see how much less those homes get than homes that have, right, presented themselves well to the buyers. It is shameful, but so which is why we try and do the education phase, just to explain what's going on.
So this is real staging. I hear a lot of talk around stage your home for $16 a photograph. What are your thoughts on virtual staging as a way of, from the photographs anyway, going from A to B in this case?
It's an agent trying to be cheap.
Oh, okay.
It's an agent being cheap because, yes, the appeal is there. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's staging furniture or real furniture, whether it's virtual staging or real furniture.
Yep.
But guess what? If you've managed to grab those buyers and got their eyes, ooh, I want to see this home, and they walk in the door and it's empty and they can't even figure out, well, which room was this that we saw that photo of? You've lost them. You've lost them totally.
Yep.
So it is zero value, even negative value.
Because it puts people off.
It puts people off.
It's also
their expectations are so high when they walk in the door.
In fact, the dining room here, and what they're getting is
an empty room.
An empty room. So I can't visualize. I guess the other thing I've thought as well, if you do a 3D tour, if you do video, it's easy to put staging film.
Yeah.
It's way more expensive in a video, and you can't do it really in a 3D tour. So that too, you're going to lose a lot of the appeal of those, or the value, not the appeal, the value of those other pieces too.
Yeah.
You're just going to do one aspect of it, and as soon as they go to the 3D tour, if there is one, or the video, what happened to the staging furniture?
Yeah, it's gone. So here's a home that here was one. This was a listing photo. The home came on the market. It was on the market for 206 days, unsold with another agent. We came in. This actually was the seller that I mentioned. He wanted to be an interested observer. That was where I got that phrase from. He wanted to be an interested observer. We just did it all. And anyway, we came in and staged it. We did some minor updates and even priced over $2 million. We had competing offers on the home. So that's quite rare, but that's very rare. But we got competing offers. Here's another photo of the living room. Doesn't look very appealing. With some staging furniture, it looks much, much better. Here's another one where this home had a non-traditional layout. It wasn't it had a couple of extensions in its past, and it sort of was a bit of a hodgepodge of rooms. A buyer walking through this room here would have had no idea that this was the dining room. No idea whatsoever. And then they would have been walking through and sort of saying, well, what do we do? What would this room be? Once the buyers are saying that, you've lost them.
Right. I don't understand how I would live here is basically what they're saying, I guess.
Yeah. But with staging furniture in there, oh, this is the dining room. Oh, wow, this is lovely. Look at all the light. Look at, that type of thing. It defines a room to the buyers. Here's a living room prior to staging. Here's that same living room after staging. It just feels warmer. Here's the home actually from a few weeks ago.
Right. Yep.
This is the painted room, and here is the staged room. When you look at those two photos, I think the power in all of the photos that we're showing you, the power of staging is huge, because it really doesn't give, sure, it looks nice, but whereas here, oh, that's what I do. Oh, okay. Oh, look at this. New construction. The home looks great, but with the staging furniture in it, you're really getting a really appealing home. And here's the one that I mentioned before that had been on the market for about 2 years. Yes.
I love the staging, I have to say.
So the staging furniture of the prior agent was really,
even
really
I
awesome.
could have done better than that. Not much of a stager, but I definitely could have done better than that.
So here we staged the home. We did minor paint and competing offers. We sold for way over asking. Makes a difference. This is the same. This is this same house too. Now this is the power of where we were saying if it's not a traditional layout, you can have problems, because the front door was up here, around this corner. So this is the living room. This is the dining room. You can see the chandelier. This was the dining room. The buyers would have walked through here and thought, what do I do with this room? How would I live in this room? Do I make the dining room go all of this way? How do I do this?
Right.
So we came in and we staged the front room as a living room. We staged the middle room as the dining room. And this room we staged as a pre or post dinner drinks room. So with a bar and people, and the verbiage that we used on the home created the imagery of having guests over, sitting down for pre-dinner drinks and chatting, and then moving into the dining room. It's really important. I don't know how much more to say, but it's really important to stage and to prepare the home. Marcus, you're on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
I was enjoying the before and afters. So that's all very well. We've done the preparation. We've done all the staging. We've created that product, if you will, that today's buyers want. Now the trick, of course, is to get it out to as many people in the most effective way that we possibly can. That's what marketing does. Excuse me. And so, in this environment, does marketing matter? And clearly it does. We've mentioned a couple of times that the way people, buyers should say, look at a home, first of all, they've always done this to some extent. It's just been amplified given where we are with COVID. They look at the home, looking through all of those digital videos, 3D tours, and so on. That's their kind of initial showcase. Before they might have thought, well, I'll just go to the open house anyway, see what it's like. I mean, it doesn't look very good, but why not? What else am I going to do on a wet Saturday afternoon? Now they're
Stay at home and read.
Yeah, they could do that. They could do that. Now they're saying, it has to tick all the boxes. It has to be something that is worth going to see. Otherwise, I'm just not going to bother. I'm just not feeling comfortable. So that's really the power, really, of marketing, specifically in this environment. In the prior environment too, but it's say amplified very much in this environment. And what we found is that there is almost a direct correlation between the number of times they view the video and the 3D tour. That gives us a great indication of how many private showings there's going to be. And the more private showings you get, the much higher probability that you're going to get multiple offers on that home. So it's key that you have all these pieces in place, but the key piece to add to this is that you're able to see how many times people are looking at these different aspects, different assets of the home. If for no other reason, if they're not looking at the assets, perhaps you've got something wrong. Maybe the price is wrong. It gives you that extra information. If you get lots of views, that's promising. If I'm not getting very many views, why? What did I get wrong? Is that price point wrong? Did I think one aspect of the home was going to be a big selling point, but actually when you put it in front of buyers, that wasn't the case. So it kind of works both ways. In order to make this work, of course, you really need to see what's going on with the home. And so this year we rolled out what we're calling a listing dashboard. The idea of this is to give you lots of information about what's going on in terms of the day-to-day running of the transaction, thinking of pre-listing, but also as to what's happening while that property is actually on the market. So, should we give a demo?
I think we should.
Why don't we just give a demo?
Absolutely. So this is an app that we have deployed. It's been out there now for a couple of months, and it's heavily used by our sellers and also our buyers because it's not just a listing dashboard. It is a buying dashboard as well.
So what we've rolled out is our dashboard. I'll give you a sense of it here. There we have. These are a number of properties that we have on the market right now. What I thought I would do is show you. You've talked a lot about that home that had lots and lots of views.
Yes, but we should point out that a seller gets a unique transaction code with their email address, and that's what they have. They will only see their own home. The fact that Marcus has got 4 on there at the moment, that's not all the homes that we've got on the market or under agreement, but they're the 4 that he's chosen to have a look at for his own purposes.
And to showcase you this evening.
So a seller will only have 1 unless you've sold more than 1 home.
Right.
You'll only have 1, and you're the only ones that have access to that.
Yep. So I thought what I would show is the house that we talked a little bit about that you did all the preparation for. Let me scoot back to this one's. Here's the pre-listing. This is before you come on the market. Here's all the dates, as well as a lot of status information that we can add as well. But the key one I wanted to show really is what is the on market. So this is the showcase of how many views there have been of all of these assets. And the shape of this is kind of indicative of a very successful house, and it really proves what I was saying before about the way buyers are looking at homes. So what you see there is a kind of 5-day period. The first bar is the Thursday. We brought it on the market. We got
probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Probably late afternoon. Normally when we bring on, get a fair number of showings. Friday comes along and we clearly get a lot more. It's much higher. What we're seeing now is buyers looking at that home, making that decision. Will I go to make a private showing? That's what they're doing there on the Friday. Saturday and Sunday, the numbers are somewhat reduced because guess what? They are actually looking at the home, physically going to look at the home. Then along comes the Monday, and now we've got those buyers that are going to make an offer, verifying that yes, this is the home they're interested in, looking at all of those. In this case, it's the 3D tour, to be able to see, yes, is the home, you know, how big was the closet again? I don't remember. Kind of ticking answering all those questions that they have in terms of, yes, this is the home I want to write an offer on. And so that's kind of that shape is indicative of what we see in a very popular home. Once you go to the accepted offer, at that point you get to see exactly what's happening in terms of who the attorneys are, what the closing dates are, and things like that.
When the smoke inspection's scheduled for, when the final water reading's happening, all of the different components of an accepted offer phase.
So let me go back to the PowerPoint and let's talk a little bit about the different components of the marketing. There are lots of pieces to it. The key thing though is really to create a lot of virtual assets, if you will, digital assets, if you will, and then get it out in front of a large number of people. Instead of going through the list, why don't I just show you the real things? Here we go. Photographs, clearly that's very, very important, always has been, irrespective of the age of the home. Here we have a somewhat contemporary, modern home in the upper photograph. In the lower photograph, a much older home, but you can see both of those with professional photography looks really good. That it really does showcase the home. Remembering that, you know, a buyer as well as ourselves has done a lot of preparation, done a lot of staging. We've created
a seller, not a
seller.
Not
sort of buyer.
Yeah, you
I always
buyer.
get those.
He always
confused,
gets mixed up. So
like
I
left
thought
and
I'd
right.
clarify it.
I've not figured out left and right yet either. If you haven't noticed, I never say left or right because I always get it wrong. So if you don't believe the photograph sells, clearly it does, but if you don't, guess what? Same room.
They're not ours.
Yeah,
they're not our
they're
photos.
Not ours.
No.
But it's the same room. And if you look at the poor quality photograph, which is the upper one, it looks a really small, pokey little kitchen. But it's, you know, as the lower photograph shows, it's not. It's a large kitchen. In the first photograph there, it's actually been staged as well. So they've done that preparation, if you will. They've created that product, but then it's been completely let down by the photography, just like that.
I can't tell you how many times I look through MLS listings and the photos are obviously taken with an iPhone and some of them are blurry and it's just
we have a litany of photographs that you would you've got to be kidding me. You really didn't do that. Anyway, that was just one we thought we would show you. So photographs sells, good quality photographs sells. Remembering that's the initial showcase of your home. It's not the video, it's not the 3D tour. The first thing that people will see will be those photographs. So they have to be spot on in order to get people, you know, even interested in the home. Video is the next one. We do a lot of different videos for the home. You know, it's really important. Be it, you know, if the upper ones there, we have one video which is designed specifically for social media. It's really all about social media, getting interaction on social media, getting that kind of viral growth, one way to put it. But
viral impact, viral.
I don't remember the word.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know what it is.
Five reasons you love this home. People love to know 5 reasons you love this home. Sometimes we'll do a virtual open house where there'll be a running commentary. The listing agent will go around with a camera, video camera, giving a running commentary of the home, looking in, opening all the closets, going into the basement. We don't normally take
unfinished areas,
unfinished area of the home and so on. So, you know, in fact, why don't I at this point, I think what would be useful if I showed actually a website, because I've got all these things you're looking at here. I think it probably have more impact if I actually show. I'm going to do one thing first. I'm going to show you some video.
Oh, okay.
Why don't we show some videos?
Yeah.
Here's an example actually of that video that is showcasing that kind of social media impact on the home. In this case, just for fun, we put a GoPro on. You saw Sudo, he's our dog, in the staging photograph, as well as the initial photo.
He doesn't take hair into the homes or anything like this, or fur. He's
currently sat in the corner because he's frightened of the thunder and lightning. But this is designed specifically for social media. That's what it's done for, to get kind of that viral look at the home, get it out there to a large number of people. We also do a more traditional video of the home. This was of a home we brought on the market back in February or March.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. As you can see, pre-COVID. Different, this is how people expect to view properties.
This is Candia.
It was Candia, right?
Arlington,
Yes,
yeah.
Candia
Yeah.
in Arlington.
Yeah.
So the idea here is to give you that kind of different perspective. But again, it's kind of we're in control. Now, having done all of this, the key thing is you need to get it out in front of people. And so the way to do that, the way to showcase that really, is to do it via a website. So.
And this is a home we have on the market right now. It's awesome inside. If you're looking to buy a condo in Arlington, please come by. It's just a stunning location, stunning finishes, different condo. Typically, you never see a family room in a condo and adjacent to a beautiful kitchen. This one's got a family room next to the open plan kitchen. The home is lovely. So come by. Easy to see.
177 Palmer.
Yeah.
Guess what the website is?
177palmer.com.
See, so we always create a single property website, if you would, and we try to put as much information into that in the most visually appealing way we can. So here we are, 177 Palmer. Some information about the home. There it is there, and then we have kind of set the scene. You talked about this a little bit before, Danny. Kind of setting that scene. How would you live in that home? A combination of narrative and then photographs. And if you ever see the photographs, there are always multiple photographs you can look at.
Yeah.
And so here we have that narrative as well as the different rooms. There's the kitchen and so is that the family room?
That's the family room.
There we go. Sunroom as well. So you kind of showing you all aspects of the home. Having done that, what I want to show you now is the 3D tour, because everything you've seen, the photographs, the video, is really we're the director of that. We really want you to be in control, and today's buyers expect in many cases to kind of be in control. And as Danny mentioned before, many times you don't get to spend as much time in that home as you would like. Probably in full screen mode. As much time in that home as you would like. What the 3D tour allows you to do is spend as long as you want in that home. Look at all aspects of it, go upstairs, go downstairs, you can go everywhere within the home. Can I help you?
No.
You good?
No, yeah, you can do it because you know what you want to talk about.
I'm actually looking at it as well, whereas Danny's on the side. But I don't remember this home, but you can go in all the different rooms.
It's my listing. You don't need to know it. Remember, it's beautiful though.
We can go upstairs.
Yep.
It's got one of those, not like a Jack and Jill staircase, but two ways up to it.
Yep.
And here we are. Here's the upstairs. So you can go anywhere you want within the home. Spend as long as you like within the home. Remember back to the graph I showed you before of how many times people view the 3D tour. This is initially looking at the home, but this is also Monday. This is I'm ready to write this offer. How big was the closet on the second floor? What was that layout? Reintroducing a potential buyer.
Was there a dishwasher in the kitchen? All those sorts of things.
There you go.
Yeah.
Was there?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. As well as this kind of 3D view of it, there's also a floor plan view. But a floor plan, not the usual schematic. We do that as well as you can imagine. But also this is a schematic with furniture in it, so you can see how the layout or what the layout of the rooms is. That's the bedroom layer, and there is the main living area, as you can see there. But giving you a sense of that layout.
Of scale. When you look at the living room and you sort of see, you see all those things.
I wonder if this works. This is effective, perhaps less so with this, but it may just be a little bit effective. To see what's over what. One trick, as you can see here, the two bathrooms are directly on top of each other. If somebody's thinking about expanding a bathroom, putting a new bathroom in, this one already has a second floor bathroom, but it's much cheaper and easier to put a bathroom over an existing bathroom. You can share many of the plumbing, just as an example. But this is a different perspective on it that you wouldn't ordinarily get while you're in a home.
It's the dollhouse view.
Right, so that's the 3D tour. You can do measurements on this one as well. But that's the 3D tour for the home. It's a key part of the marketing. There's the video. I just showed you another one just a moment ago. This one has a video too. The property brochure. I don't think we have the virtual open house on this one.
I don't know.
We should add it to this. Here's that property brochure that Danny talked about that we no longer print, but we put it online. You can page through. Here's that schematic floor plan we talked about. Here is the photographs, and then what's going on with the condo market here in Arlington, as well as where that home is. And then we finish up with the floor plan, as well as situating the home within the school system, as well as public transport. So everything about that home, a place that a potential buyer can go and find out lots and lots of information about that home. Now, having created that, we now need to get that out to the largest number of buyers we can. So two aspects to this one. One, spread it wide. That's the one aspect of it. The second one is be very targeted in terms of hitting the most effective users. Those users, those buyers who potentially are interested in this home. So we do it two ways. First of all, social media, getting it as wide as you can. And as I mentioned before, it's really key to have key photographs, videos, 3D tours and so on, because that's your showcase within social media. So instead of you just kind of flying by on your news feed, you want to catch people's eye. You've got it in front of a potential buyer. Now you want them to stop and say, wow, I like the look of that. That looks like an interesting home. I should be interested in that. So that's kind of key within social media. Having done that, that's broad. Then what we need to do is go very narrow and begin to kind of target specific buyers. Buyers who, for instance, came to an open house. We haven't done them this year. We have in the past. Buyers who came to our website. Buyers who've interacted with us and potentially are interested in a $750,000 home within Arlington. So we can begin to target those specific users, so we can get this in front of those users.
They're warm buyers.
Warm buyers as opposed to cold buyers. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Right, so that's kind of the marketing aspects of it. So creating all of the marketing that we can, having done that, getting it out broadly, and then as well as that, be very targeted in terms of getting it in front of warm, hot buyers who look like they're interested in buying, in this case, a $700,000 condo in Arlington.
Perfect.
There's
so
marketing.
Now we come to the next step, which is excellence through teamwork. I know I sort of gave a little bit of a hint of this at the beginning, but what do we mean by excellence through teamwork? So what we mean is having 7 agents and 6 full-time support folks. Our focus is our clients. Our focus is our clients. That's putting it bluntly. Our focus is our clients. They are our universe. The agent interacts with the client and oversees everything that's going on with the client. But we have specialists that are in the team that can do some of the things that I as an agent can do, but they can do better. Our listing coordinator, oh my goodness, the copy that she writes for homes is just stunning.
Look at our website. You'll see it just there.
It's just stunning. Our closing coordinator, she is so efficient, so has it organized. The fire departments love her. The water department, they have a very specialized skill, and they do this day in, day out. Preparation, we call her the contractor whisperer. She is very, very good with the contractors and getting them to do what needs to be done. We have a staging coordinator. Our staging coordinator works with the seller to help make their home sparkle. And our marketing coordinator, his job is to get the home out and get it exposed to as many buyers that are out there. So when we say excellence through teamwork, we're partnering with our clients to get them the highest price that we can for their home. So, because our goal is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with zero hassle or stress. because when that happens, you're going to talk about your experiences with us to your colleagues, your friends, things like this. So that's the word of mouth is so important. It's huge, and our aim is a relationship for life. To us, core values. Everybody in the team has these same core values. They wouldn't be in the team if they didn't have these core values, to be honest. Integrity and ethical behavior. We will not do the wrong thing by anyone. We will be transparent. We will be there. At no point in time is there ever any question about who is being benefited by things that we do. It's our seller or our buyers. It's our clients. Period. Education, not selling. That's why we do these masterclasses. We're not hard sell. We're just trying to help get the information out there to people so that people know what's important when you're selling a home. You know, if you don't know that 3D tours or videos or staging or preparation or these sorts of things are important to getting a high price for your home, if you don't know that, you're not going to ask for that. You're not going to demand that. We're trying to sort of educate folks that these are the important things that you've got to consider, the 5 keys. And exceptional customer service. You know, that's really important. But when we talk about this, to us, it's you've got to be talking about a professional versus an Aunt Mary. You know, choosing a professional. You want someone who does this day in and day out to get you the highest price. What a lot of folks don't know is that there's a term in the industry called a 3 Ps agent. And this is very, very common. A 3 Ps agent is someone who puts a sign out front, who puts the home in MLS, and then prays. That's a 3 Ps agent. It's not just us saying this, though. The NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, commissioned an independent company to do a study. It was probably about 2 years ago now, about what the biggest threat to the real estate industry. What was it? What's the biggest threat to the real estate industry? And they found that the biggest threat is masses of marginal agents destroy reputation. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical, and/or incompetent agents. This knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. So it's not just us saying this. This is the major threat to the industry, is the type of person that you're hiring. You need to hire a professional, not Aunt Mary who, you know, sells one home every 5 years, or someone who's unethical, only does it, you know, a couple of days a week, etc. Anyway, the agents in our team, there's myself and Marcus, we have Rachel, Andrew, Yuki, Corinne, and Wenjen. All of us are here to be able to help with any questions that you have. And, you know, we love talking real estate. So just call and we'll just chat. That's fun.
What I wanted to kind of finish up with here and not spend too long on was buying in 2020. Kind of the when and the how. As Danny mentioned earlier, we do buyers masterclasses, very specific around the mechanisms by which you can become successful in what in many cases is, as we mentioned before, a very competitive market. It's not easy to buy in this market because it's so competitive, and so it's key. You know, there's a lot of information we want to impart, and so there's an hour and a half, you know,
just on that.
Yeah, masterclass just on that. But just to give
we
you a
could
quick...
always go through till 10 o'clock tonight.
No, let's not do that. So I thought what I'd do is give you a quick overview of kind of how it works. The when's pretty straightforward. This is what we mentioned before. We're very much in that buyer confidence returns. Buyer confidence has returned. You know, we are, you know, in that environment where buyers are out. They're very keen to be in this market, you know, to get out of where they are. So highly competitive market. In terms of the how, in terms of showings, it really isn't business as usual. Masks and so on are required as they are in any environment today. Most homes do not have open houses. Danny talked a lot about that. Those that do certainly have challenges. So be prepared to be flexible in this environment. If you feel you want to go the more traditional route, what we would recommend, of course, is that you go the private showing route. That really does give you extra time within the home to kind of enjoy it and get comfortable with those kind of making some of those decisions based on the digital assets, as it were, digital products, as well as doing much of the communication. And this is one thing which I think is actually much improved to some extent, doing a lot of the communication between a buyer's agent and a potential buyer over Zoom. I found the medium very effective. You can fire up a quick Zoom call. You can begin to show lots of information on our website in terms of the stats, what the community's like, and so on. So be prepared for that. We're all getting much more comfortable doing that. But digital is kind of key in terms of how to do this. Also be prepared for some scary situations. You may expect to go to a home and expect to be the only party there, only to find at the open house that they don't actually restrict people through. They just let people go through as you will. And you might be in a small cape with 5 or 6 other groups. So kind of be flexible in terms of that. Be prepared for that. As I say, we would very much recommend private showings as the way to do that. The inspections beginning to loosen up. We did have the situation where in some cases inspectors were not allowing buyers to go around the home with them. They had to rely on the report at the end of the day, and that I felt very was a very unsatisfactory situation, given that there's a lot of nuanced information that a buyer is showing today. So is that an inspector is showing a buyer in the inspection, and so that's kind of key. We're getting back to normal with that one. So hopefully, as we kind of move into the spring next year, it will be very much that you go in and do an inspection with your inspector, in the way that you've done it before. But we have had the situation where, that wasn't necessarily the case. Financing, banks in many cases tightening lender requirements, in many cases just busy with so many refis, given the low interest rates at the moment. Home buyers were having to compete with people refining for the time of the banks, and so we did see a number of banks closings being delayed because the financing hadn't quite finished. We also saw many appraisals where the appraiser would just drive by the home, and what that led to was some lower appraisals. Now that's beginning to be eased as well, with appraisers going into homes, so that should become less of a challenge. But certainly previously we did definitely see that. In terms of the dashboard, I showed you the listing dashboard before. We clearly do the same for a buying dashboard as well, to give you very much appraised in terms of what's going on with the market. So that's buying in probably about 2 minutes, maybe less. There's a whole hour and a half if you really want the details.
There's a huge amount involved in buying. But
many sellers are also buyers. We just want to give you a quick, taste of it. But there's a lot of information to impart in terms of buying as well. So if you're kind of thinking, well, yes, I want to sell, but I also need to buy. I haven't done it for a long time. Please feel free to reach out to us.
And we'll talk again.
And we'll talk for a good hour and a half about that whole topic.
Or we can even, if you wanted to as well, one of the things that you could do is go onto our website and go to our blogs page, because you'll find our most recent buyers seminar, buyers masterclass.
That's there, right? Yes.
Yeah, that's there. And that will... There's the hour and a half right there without having to sit through it. You can scan forward and all of that sort of stuff. So you can find that information out pretty easily.
So with that, finished.
Yes.
Not bad.
So thank you for joining us. It's been lovely to see you. Didn't see you.
Virtually, but anyway.
And look, if we can help in any way, then reach out. But please stay safe. The next one of these that we're doing is after the election.
Just
so
after the election, I seem to remember.
What
we may have a little bit more insight in terms of what's going to happen moving forward, or maybe we won't. Time will tell.
May not.
We may not.
So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you much, and bye.